Chloe Taylor-Rook.
These are some really subtle things that girls do when they like you that they hope you pick up on, so they don't actually have to verbalize the fact that they like you. Okay, here's a tea. If a girl really likes a guy, she is going to do whatever it takes to get a response out of him. Trust me, because I've been here myself. We will quite literally sit there and think, what on earth can I message him that is going to guarantee getting a response back, but also not make it obvious that I like him, because this is way too early for him to realize and get the ick and then distance himself from me. And after all of that deliberation,
I just want to point out how girls cope so much. So I like how she's saying, oh, he's going to get the ick if he realizes that I like him too much. Guys never get the ick from being liked too much. That right there is a female projection, because that's exactly how they feel when you like them too much too early. The actual truth about this is she doesn't want to give away too much power too early. That's what it's actually about.
They'll do one of the following. Number one is reply to your story. Number two is post something on their story that they know that you're interested in to try and reel you in. Or number three, which is more time the most obvious thing in the world, they will message you with the most random question, the most random request, like, hey, do you know where I could watch this movie? As an example, right? Yet they also have subscriptions to Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Hey You. Exactly. They know where to watch the movie.
The whole story thing works amazingly because it's such a safe way for someone to talk to you without directly talking to you. I've gotten likes from girls on stories so many times because they just wanted a way to talk to me. From there, you just have to get the hint, open conversation, and see where it goes. It's not that complicated. The whole point of this is that girls love having plausible deniability. A lot of the times, you have to be the one to take the plunge or the risk. Even though she's already mentally decided exactly what she wants, you have to be the one to go and take it. This way, she avoids any accountability because chasing boys in 2025 is seen as a bad thing to do. To be honest though, it was always seen as a bad thing to do, but girls still chase anyways. They just chase very indirectly, and you have to be smart enough to pick up on it.
Wanted you to reply. Okay, second thing is called the chameleon effect, and it's kind of similar to the first one, but I think we do this as a means to make you think that we're so similar and a match made in heaven. If you two speak quite regularly, if you notice that she starts saying things like you that she never used to before, or has now a similar humor to you, it's because she likes you.
This is pretty common in a lot of social interactions, and it's also known as mirroring. This is something that a lot of people naturally do when they want to be closer to another person. They start buying into their language, mannerisms, behavior, etc. The way I see it, it's a throwback to a form of tribalism where you guys are all on the same team, and that way it builds a form of trust. That also plays into the concept of frame, where when a girl really likes you, she's going to fall into your frame. Pick up on your language, views, behavior. She's going to start to acquiesce to you because she really wants to be with you. This is the whole paradigm I talk about all the time between dominance and submission. Girls naturally want to be submissive, and when they start engaging in this type of behavior, this is them essentially being submissive. Now, obviously, a lot of people have a problem with this, but take it in context. It doesn't mean the girl's immediately going to go down on her hands and knees and beg you to be her king. But keep in mind, of course, the subtle signs are always there, and you have to learn to pick up on them to know what to do next.
Number three is definitely if you're like a teenager, young adult, because I know I definitely used to do this, but if you message quite regularly on Snapchat, if she accidentally saves your message in chat, it absolutely wasn't accidental, and she's definitely saved that so she can read it after she's told you she's going to bed. Especially if this is like a compliment where you said she looks good or looks cute, or if this is a photo that you've sent to her, she's definitely kicking and screaming. Composure completely out the window.
I'll be honest, this one's a little bit more rare because girls are so heavily on game now that they're not going to give it to you so obviously most of the time. Now, of course, there are cases where they like you a lot, where they'll give you all the signs, and this will be one of them. In that case, sure, but a lot of times early on, a girl won't immediately do this because she'll see it as being too forward or too obvious. So I wouldn't bank on this happening early, but sure. It does happen sometimes. But let's be honest, by that point, she's already given you so many more signals anyway, so if she's already doing that, you should have already known a long time ago where you stand.
Four, I think, is probably the most obvious thing in the world, but we can kind of pass it off as like, oh, we just wanted to hang out as friends, if ever you were to ask or say something, which is where we'll just casually like plan the future with you in it. Let's say she sees a social media post for something that's supposedly coming to your area, and she sees it, sends it to you and said, oh my god, like we have to go to this. Or like, you know, those travel TikToks, if she sends you those and said, oh my god, I feel like you would love it here, we should so go. If you like her and she's talking like you're about to go into a joint mortgage application, you may as well propose. 100% success rate.
This is a very common sales tactic they teach you when you're trying to learn sales. What you're essentially trying to do is you're trying to plant seeds to bypass the psychological defense barrier. A good example would be customers will see you in that car and they're going to immediately assume that you're doing way better than you actually are and that you have more credibility. That example, of course, is a car salesman trying to sell a luxury car to, let's say, somebody like a real estate guy. He's planting the image of the guy already driving the car even though he hasn't even purchased it yet. When the customer starts to buy into that image, they are far more likely to legitimately purchase the product. Girls are naturally amazing salespeople. They're really good with images and emotions and planting themselves in your life when they really like you. Honestly, this video was pretty good. Of course, there always has to be a little bit of translation because girls are very rarely going to be very direct about their exact intentions, and they're never going to give you their exact playbook. But overall, most of what she said was pretty on point. Hey guys, before we continue, I just want to quickly let you know that I do have a dating course available where I go over all the essential concepts of modern dating. Make sure to check it out. I put the link in the description for you. Let's get back to the video. All right, we got Sydney today.
There is so much conversation around what women expect guys to pay for when they first start dating and throughout the relationship. But something I never really hear people talk about, I think I know why, is the fact that a lot of times, not always, the things that the girl kind of wants the guy to pay for are the things that she was getting for free when she was single. Single girls have the opportunity to get so much for free. But the thing is, I feel like anytime somebody talks about the things that they get for free, people swarm to the comment section being like, nothing's actually free, basically implying that she was doing something to get that. The truth is, people like to be around pretty women, and it's as simple as that. When I first started dating my husband and he came and visited my family in Texas for the first time, went to the gym together, and he asked me how much my membership there cost, and I was like, I don't have a membership. The guy who owns the gym likes me and lets me work out there for free. We ended up moving. It wasn't even a question. My husband just got my gym membership.
So everything she's saying is true, but I'm going to discuss a couple of variables here that are so abstract for whatever reason in society now that you can't discuss them properly without being immediately put into a camp. But obviously I'm going to delve into it because, you know me, I like the actual truth, not some sort of filtered pseudo reality where we have to buy into certain fantasies and objective realities as it suits one party or one group, if you know what I'm talking about. The main issue I have with this concept is how disingenuous a lot of girls are when it comes to taking benefits from this while claiming that they're not doing so and that it's purely just arbitrary and coincidental. You can't simultaneously shame the quote-unquote patriarchy, let's call it, while taking benefit from the same system you're shaming. It doesn't make any sense to do so. And it's extremely disingenuous. If you're going to stand on principle, then you have to do so in a way where you completely detach yourself from the system you so vehemently disagree with. Of course, this pretty much never happens in reality, and what girls do is they very carefully construct all of these cases where somehow they can bypass their own rule set, and they're very, very good at compartmentalizing in a way where they get maximum benefit with the least amount of responsibility. It's also become a social taboo to hold them accountable, so if you do so, you're pretty much putting yourself in the ick category, so you really can never contest any of this if you have any intention of going to bed with them or anything like this. Of course, my recommendation is that principle is more important than getting laid, so I think that you should at least privately, maybe not socially, take a stance on these things, but I do see it as a very interesting covert feminist agenda. The line of logic goes something like this. I'm independent. I don't need you to pay for me. I don't want you to protect me. But if you don't do so, I'm still going to get icked out because that's what you're supposed to want to do. And if you don't defend me, I'm going to be annoyed and think you're a pussy because you didn't stand up for me, even though I'm supposed to stand up for myself. And if you claim that you want to stand up for me, and somehow you're a bad guy and insinuating that I am beneath you. Think about the craziness. Think about the mental gymnastics you have to put yourself through in order to believe something so silly like this. You never win as a guy unless you simply say, oh yeah, no worries, I understand, and you buy into their subjective delusion and just live like that. I don't want you to be objective with me at all because I don't value truth. What I value is my subjective feelings at all times, no matter how delusional they truly are. This is why I always argue in favor of playing the game, because getting into any sort of logical, objective conversation about this is never going to benefit you as a guy. Most of the time, they don't really mean what they say anyways, and they're going to choose their emotions subjectively regardless of what stance they may take logically. So engaging in any sort of discussion or argument is always a waste of time. Let's keep going.
Does it make sense that a girl starts having to pay for more because she's in a relationship. So, just saying, I know so many pretty girls who don't get anything for free. Sometimes it's like right place, right time. I just wanted to put that out there. Still have the opportunity to, and that's the point. It doesn't mean girls ask for free stuff. It doesn't mean they did anything in return other than show up and get the free stuff. It's just kind of how the world works. And you should never feel bad about it, because I'm a firm believer that it's a man's job to pursue the woman. Obviously, in a relationship, a woman has her duty to the guy as well. That's not what this video is about. Weird way. It is kind of a subtle way for men to pursue women by like giving them free stuff. Even if
Pretty
they
much.
don't necessarily expect something in return, there's still like an energy exchange there. And one way that men can pursue their partner throughout their entire life is by providing for them.
And once again, I don't have a problem with any of these realities. Obviously, the prettier the girl, the more free stuff she's probably going to get, because more guys want to throw their hat in the ring, essentially. And the only way they know how to do it is by giving them a gift or something free, some sort of value to basically be noticed. The only problem I have, of course, is when all of society wants to pretend that this isn't a reality. It just goes back to the classic thing I talk about all the time on this channel. They want to have their cake and eat it too. You as a guy, of course, have to force them to make a choice. They cannot have both. At least not on your watch. Of course, with the hyper pretty girls, it's going to be very, very difficult to pull this off, because there's always somebody else that's able to provide the cake without them having to eat it. So be careful and be very aware when you're engaging in this type of dynamic. Unfortunately, to have any sort of backbone in the relationship, you have to make sure you put them in a situation where they're forced to make a choice. And you don't do this overtly, you do this passively now. You give them the option, you tell them what you want. You let them dictate their own fate and act accordingly. If they engage in behavior where they want to have their cake and eat it too on your watch, you have to just passively and quietly disqualify them from being a potential long-term partner, and just move on and keep playing the dating game. A lot of people are immediately going to jump against me and say, oh, well, you have to at least have a discussion, and having some sort of talk about it is useful. I personally think all these things are completely, utterly useless. You give a person a chance to make a decision and they blatantly go against you for their own self-interest, there's really not that much you can do to change that person until they're ready to make that change. It's not your job to change them. It's your job to change yourself. Despite saying all of this, I still think that in order to avoid being hypocritical, you still gotta play your role as the man. Pay for the date and put yourself in the position when you're able to do so. Yes, you're inevitably going to waste some money, but this is just part of the process. If you don't do this, you're just gonna take the risk that you're not gonna get the exact dynamic you want. And I've seen so many guys in some sort of dating situation where they try to play by the new rules and they end up hollowing out their entire personality, feeling weak, and it eventually comes back to haunt them. Don't be like those guys. Don't be that tag along guy that's trying so hard to chase some girl that's really just logically choosing you just to satisfy her ego, while meanwhile she actually desires other men. Pay attention to her actions, not to her words. Savannah Faith Stone. Let's see what we got.
Quick PSA, just something to think about. If a man fully providing for you is the bare minimum, then you cooking for him every single night is also the bare minimum. If him opening every single door for you is the bare minimum, then you picking up his laundry off the floor is also the bare minimum.
I mean, yeah, this is logically completely true, but I think it's impossible to get over the reality that we currently live in a system where it's rules for thee and not for me, where girls have all the authority and none of the responsibility. Now, this girl has pretty decent takes most of the time, but they're all logically based, and she doesn't really address the emotional reality behind why this exists in the first place. All people are really bad at interpreting logic for whatever reason. When you tell somebody to do something, they're not going to want to do it. The unfortunate reality, of course, is that this video is probably going to fall on deaf ears for 99% of people.
Him being above a certain height and being in shape is the bare minimum, then you staying attractive and staying in shape is also the bare minimum. If him constantly fixing things around the house, taking care of the yard, whatever it may be, is the bare minimum, then you taking care of the home and keeping it clean is also the bare minimum. I see this double standard all the time where women will want all of these traits in men and call those things the bare minimum. Yet when a man asks if they can cook, they say, well, no, you can cook for yourself. You're fully capable. Wouldn't that mean then that you are fully capable of going to work for yourself and providing, and that you don't actually need someone to provide for you?
Well, this is the annoying part, right? If you want me to hold you to masculine standards, I'm going to treat you so drastically differently than if you want me to hold you to feminine standards. The craziest part about this is that girls want both of these things at the same time. And if you bother trying to check them on false logic, you just look like the insecure one in the end anyways. So for you, ultimately, it's a lose-lose scenario. What I've said many times in this channel before is in a lose-lose scenario, the only way to win is to not play. Then everybody wonders why guys are refusing to play at all. If guys perceive the current dating market as a lose-lose scenario, the only thing they can do is not play. Now, obviously, my opinion on this has been the same for quite a while, which is that it's still worth to play the game, but you have to adapt to the times. If you don't adapt, it will perpetually seem like a lose-lose. And when I say adapt, of course, what I mean is don't be a guy just like your father who's going out there looking for a new mom. Maybe the previous generation of guys like the boomers can get away with this, but the new generation of women simply will not tolerate this. And this is something that you must understand. Go look at your grandfather, go look at your great-grandfather. If you do what they did and act how they did, you'll probably have infinitely better results. Okay? Stop being idealistic. Stop seeking a mother. You won't find her.
The truth is that serving is an act of love, and despite what social media may be promoting, being a wife does not mean sitting around and doing nothing and just looking pretty all day while your man goes and works his tail off. It's funny that we put all these expectations on men and then call those expectations the bare minimum, but when a man simply just requires that a woman knows how to cook, social media freaks out and calls it misogynistic.
I've had to teach a number of girls how to cook, and very few of them even know how to do it anymore. This is just a sign of the times. Once again, it goes back to the same thing I already said. You gotta take a disproportionate amount of responsibility in order to play the game on your terms. I'm not the one to sit there and cry about it. I'm always the one that's gonna try to implement the correct solution in order to get the result that I want. Ultimately, you should look at it the same way. You have to look at it as a game that you must win. If you don't look at it like this, and you look at it too idealistically, you're just bound to fail. You have to try your best to not be a Peter Pan and go out there and seek a disproportionate amount of responsibility that's on your terms, of course. If not for yourself, at least for future generations. If you choose not to do this, it's only going to get worse.